Hello and welcome to Wisdom Trek. This is Guthrie Chamberlain, and I'm your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you so much for joining us for our 7-day-a-week, 7 Minutes of Wisdom podcast. This is day 122 of our trek, and yesterday we began the actual commentary of the book of Proverbs and completed chapter 1, verses 1 through 7. Today we will continue on through the rest of chapter 1, which is verses 8 through 33. If you miss any of the commentary covering the book of Proverbs as we go through it, I would suggest that you listen to any of the missed episodes. Every daily episode can be found at wisdom-trek.com, along with the written daily journals. And if you have any of your own observations, comments, or questions as we go through the book of Proverbs, please share them on the comment section of our daily journal pages at wisdom-trek.com. We are recording our podcast from our studios at the Big House in Marietta, Ohio. And today we worked all day at one of our client locations to assist them with processing and printing their customer billing. It also gives us the opportunity to catch up on some of the loose ends in their business that may need a little bit more attention that we're able to provide when we're on site. It was a good day of work, and overall, everything ran pretty smoothly. It is very rewarding to be an integral part of our clients' businesses and to bring them added value. But that is the same with all of our interactions each day. We should nurture value and trust into our relationships. And during our trek through the book of Proverbs, we will learn the correct trails to take each day. Some of these trails may appear very difficult for us, as they will hit points in our lives that need correcting. This knowledge will be gained through the use of clear instructions, great truths, practical stories and experiences, comparing and contrasting, using imagery and poems, all of which are contained in the book of Proverbs. Using our skill of observation as we discussed yesterday, let us head out on our trek today and continue on our trail of discovering wisdom and lessons from two different perspectives or stories. The first one is a father's exhortation to acquire wisdom. And this starts out with verse number 8 and 9 in chapter 1 of Proverbs. My child, listen when your father corrects you. Don't neglect your mother's instructions. What you learn from them will crown you with grace and will be a chain of honor around your neck. In Solomon's time, both parents were responsible to educate their children. It is good when children can learn from both parents. If you have children or grandchildren, use everyday experiences in life to impart instructions and make it enjoyable for them. We should also listen to wisdom. Wisdom is beautiful and it is valuable. To possess it is like a crown on your head, or it's like a gold chain around your neck. To obtain wisdom, we must study though, and we need the discipline to do so. Just like our trek of life, we cannot obtain wisdom very quickly. But wisdom will improve our lives if we take the time to gain it. Some people imagine that they know a quicker way to improve their lives. But Solomon warns such people in verses 10 through 19. The type of people offer their friendship, which we'll see in verse 14, but their friendship cannot last because their plan is evil. These people offer rich rewards, but really they will suffer a terrible fate. Wisdom is much better than any evil plan. In this section, we'll cover what's called the thief's plan, and it starts in verse 10. My child, if sinners entice you, turn your back on them. They may say, come and join us, let us hide and kill someone. Just for fun, let us ambush the innocent. Let us swallow them alive like the grave. Let us swallow them whole, like those who go down to the pit of death. Think of all the great things we'll get. We'll fill our house with the stuff we take. Come, throw in your lot with us, and we'll share the loot. My child, don't go along with them. Stay far from their paths. They rush to commit evil deeds. They hurry to commit murder. In Solomon's story, this band of thieves have a very cruel plan. The thieves ask a simple young man to join them. And remember, a simple person is one that has not obtained or lacks wisdom and discernment. So they ask this young man to join together with them as they attack someone else. The young man thinks that he and the thieves will soon become wealthy. But the young man doesn't realize the true plot. As we continue on in verse 17, if a bird sees a trap being set, it knows to stay away. But these people set an ambush for themselves. They are trying to get themselves killed. Such is the fate of all who are greedy for money. It robs them of life. The truth is this. The thieves also intended to kill this young man. This means that the thieves will keep all the money. They just needed another accomplice for their plan to work. Solomon's story here teaches us about evil behavior. An evil life is not fun. It may seem exciting, but it is very dangerous. An evil person risks a terrible end. The young man in this story thought he would soon become wealthy also. He was greedy for gain, but in reality he would lose everything, including his life. Solomon warns us not to make the same mistake. The second story that we want to look at today is called Wisdom Shouts in the Street. and it talks about the woman Wisdom, and this is her story. Starting in verse 20. Wisdom shouts in the street. She cries out in the public square. She calls to the crowd along the main street, to those gathering in front of the city gate. How long will you simpletons? Will you insist on being simple-minded? How long will you mockers relish your mocking? How long will you fools hate knowledge? Come and listen to my counsel. I will share my heart with you and make you wise. I called you so often, but you wouldn't come. I reached out for you, but you paid no attention. You ignored my advice and rejected the correction I offered. As we stop midstream in the story here, based on this story, we can see clearly that the woman called Wisdom is upset. She is angry. This is why she shouts out. Her children are not obeying her. They refuse her advice. Now, any of us who are parents can understand how frustrating this can be. She walks through the streets and she protests to everyone. She even goes to the city gates. And in ancient times, the judges were at the city gates. She wants to obtain judgment against her children. They are simple, evil, and foolish. They deserve punishment, as we read on starting in verse 26. So I will laugh at you when you are in trouble. I will mock you when disaster overtakes you. When calamity overtakes you like a storm, when disaster engulfs you like a cyclone, and anguish and distress overwhelm you. When they cry for help, I will not answer. Though they anxiously search for me, they will not find me. For they hated knowledge and they chose not to fear the Lord. They rejected my advice and paid no attention when I corrected them. Therefore they must eat the bitter fruit of living in their own way, choking on their own schemes. For simpletons turn away from me to death. Fools are destroyed by their own complacency. But all who listen to me will live in peace, untroubled by the fear of harm. If we look at this entire story, we'll realize that we all have an opportunity to become wise. God will grant wisdom to anyone who asks, as is mentioned in James chapter 1, verse 5. If you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. But if you ignore this advice and you choose not to obtain wisdom, then wisdom obtains judgment. In our story here, the punishment is severe. This is because they refused wisdom. They did evil things, and now they would suffer a terrible punishment. Their punishment is sudden like a storm. It is powerful like a wind. But if you think about it, most of our poor decisions are not a spur-of-the-moment decision. They're usually a bunch of little unwise decisions that we make over time. We're all like wisdom's children, and we can learn to be wise, or we can refuse to listen to these wise words. Wisdom begins when we respect God. If we respect God, then God will reward us. But if we choose to ignore that and do evil things, then we will suffer a terrible punishment because of it. We realize in life that everyone does evil things at times, so we must turn to God. We must be sincere, then God will forgive us and teach us his wisdom. He sent Jesus to take away our punishment for sin, and that will give us eternal life. Today, as we continue through our trek of Proverbs, we learn from our Father's exhortation to acquire wisdom, and we also learn from the woman called Wisdom. And both of these stories leaves us much to consider, so join us tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, Creating a Legacy. Tomorrow we'll switch back to a topical search for wisdom nuggets. We will consider how our beliefs affect our decisions and how our decisions affect our outcomes. And that'll finish our podcast for today. Remember to listen to your daily dose of wisdom at wisdom-trek.com, or you can subscribe at iTunes, Stitcher, or Spreaker. And please share Wisdom Trek with your family and friends so they can come along with us each day also. The journal for today's trek can be found at wisdom-trek.com. And I want to thank you for allowing me to be your guide, mentor, but most of all your friend, as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal each day. As we take this trek together, let us always live abundantly or fully, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. This is Guthrie Chamberlain reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. See you tomorrow.